Battlefront 2 is making an epic comeback with over 10,000 players on Steam, over 170,000 players across all platforms. We even got information about a remaster from the ex-devs, but before we get into that, let's dive a little deeper. If you guys are excited for a possible Battlefront 3 or a Battlefront 2 remaster, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit that bell notification to never miss a single video because this video is going to be very juicy with information that we haven't seen from anywhere else. Star Wars Battlefront 2 released back in 2017 with the original Battlefront 2 being released in 2005. Damn, I feel really old. It was an action shooter game developed by DICE, also published by EA. This was the last Star Wars game in its franchise to deliver the most epic Star Wars game ever. Besides, when it released, it had a bad start. And here's why. Star Wars Battlefront 2 had a horrible start, was the most hated Star Wars game when it first released, with pay-to-win cosmetics, loot boxes, but sooner or later, EA made all the characters in its game available to everyone. Good job, EA. They actually did something for once, other than stealing our money. If you told me a couple years ago that Battlefront 2 would regain its players overnight, I would punch you in the face and call you stupid, because that is what's exactly happened right here. Battlefront 2 is getting 10,000 players on Steam, concurrent players, which it's breaking the records for the highest peak on Steam, which is actually crazy. And then on Twitter, someone said that overall players peaked at 170,000 players overall, which is absolutely insane. It just tells you how bad people want this game to come back to life, or a possible remake or a Battlefront 3. Honestly, for me, I would love to see a Battlefront 2 or a 3, but I think the Xbox Series S would struggle to play those games. All right, this might be one of the craziest news that we got this year from Star Wars, which this is from Battlefront Updates on X. It says a realistic roadmap for Battlefront 2 and 3 straight from a former Battlefront dev. It says remaster Battlefront 2 for 2027 and 2028. Build a team, refine the engine, and grow the community. Launch into Battlefront 3 with momentum and feedback. Honestly, this is the smartest plan I've seen. And it follows up with these two tweets. It says, what Battlefront 2 dev said they come back. Me and having heard around my group of ex-colleagues, we want to get the gang back together. If this actually happens, this might be one of the best comebacks in gaming history, because Star Wars Battlefront 2 has been beloved and loved by many, as I said earlier, and this game could absolutely be
risen from the dead, brought back to life.
Just like Iron Man and the Infinity Stones. I did not mean to spoil that, sorry. But anyways, if this information is coming out and it's actually confirmed and they actually do this, this could be huge confirmation of a Battlefront 2 and a Battlefront 3 coming out soon in the next upcoming years. And here is also a Reddit that I found earlier by Googling some things, and it says, hear me out. No Battlefront 3 right now, but Battlefront 2 remastered or whatever future console is arriving through 28. Dev time is around 2 to 3 years. There is a laundry list of improvements that this game could get, in my opinion, and getting it updated was always on our wish list. Once that is success, then start work on a 3. You have a team familiar with engine assets and really could kick off developing a 3 within a much shorter time span. And working on feedback from a fresh Battlefront 2 audience base, this would be a 5 to 6 years plan, but it's far from more likely to be a success. But I think the fans will respond to that, and getting Battlefront 2 to peak high player count on Steam and just overall on all consoles is going to be very awesome. It's going to show the devs that people actually want this game to come back and have a future game for itself for the upcoming years. We even got Star Wars Battlefront 3 trending on X. We have hashtag Star Wars Battlefront 3. Let's go. We have a GIF here, and it follows up with this right here. Star Wars gotta give us a Battlefront 3 ASAP, and cool, awesome tweet there. Star Wars Battlefront 2 developers want to get the band back together for Battlefront 3. We got some cool pictures here, which would be fabulous. And just the list goes on, and it just tells you how much people want this game to come back. It just amazes me how many people can play a game or a dead game and actually get so many players on it to relive those moments and actually get the player count even at its peak, showing that the ex-devs could come back and make this a remastered of Battlefront 2 on the next generation consoles, then squeeze in Battlefront 3 after the Battlefront 2 remaster or remake. That would be just amazing. I think overall with Star Wars Battlefront 2, it was definitely one of the best Star Wars games out there. It feels like after Star Wars Battlefront 2, the controversy over the loot boxes and the pay-to-win cosmetics, and after that, the game was very solid after all of that overhaul to the game, fixing all of the BS inside of the game when it first launched. But some people would say that we haven't seen a good Star Wars game since, Jedi Fallen Order or the ones after that, which they have not made a multiplayer co-op game with Star Wars since Battlefront 2. And all the Star Wars games after that was just basically single player games. It's a full-fledged Star Wars Battlefront 2 remastered. I can imagine the quality of this game. I think the servers and the player count would just ramp up. And just seeing this game trend on Twitter and everyone getting back on board, I even played the game myself for a little bit and it was a blast. It just tells you what the gaming community and how much they affect of dead games of coming back from years ago as of 2025. It's crazy how we can bring this game back to life. Too bad that we can't do that with Call of Duty. I wonder why. But this actually happens. This would be amazing. The only people that can actually decide that is the fans itself. And the player count is explaining that very well. Well, showing, not explaining, but same thing. The craziest thing about this whole trend, I've seen people make numerous videos on this, even FaZe Jeff returning to Battlefront 2, just making videos on it, which is absolutely amazing. Then other people making their opinions on if this game is actually going to return or not, which is pretty cool. And it's getting into the algorithm and it's just making this game even ramp up and even more players on all cross platforms. And just it trending on Twitter overall is pretty crazy to me. It just tells you how old and classic games are just better now these days versus today's games. It just feels like games are just trying to monetize their game more than making a quality game for the fans and actually make what people actually love. Marathon, Destiny, Call of Duty, Battle Royale, extraction shooters. The list just goes on. The year of 2025 might be the year that we break records for Battlefront 2. As of uploading this video, there's over 10,000 players on Steam, which is absolutely insane. Here's the charts right here. Over 10,000 players. It's absolutely ridiculous. I can imagine this game with a complete overhaul with Star Wars Battlefront 2 releasing on next generation consoles, and this game will probably run butter smooth on the Series X and even on PC. I don't know if they're going to add the loot boxes back or the microtransactions, but I feel like if they just release and remaster this game fully without any of that crap, this game would be golden. But if it does add that, it's fine. Just they got to make money somehow. Having the in-game currency to pretty much unlock and rewarded by playing the game, I'm totally fine with that. But all people want is good games. That's all we ask for. But today's games, they just don't care about that. They just care about milking you for bundles and skins and weapon skins and battle passes. And Star Wars Battlefront 2 proves that we don't need any of that. I just don't see why gaming companies just don't go back to their roots of making good games. It seems like today's society is just all about how much money you can bring out of people as much as possible. It's just like Schedule One, man. They just make the most basic games and it goes viral. Just look at, Fall Guys and all these basic games. They just go completely off. But we have Star Wars Battlefront 2 that released back in 2017, and with the original that released back in 2005, it just tells you what EA can do to Battlefront 2 to make it the most hated game. And after they listened to the community and actually overhauled the pay-to-win aspects and the loot boxes, they made it a fun and playable game. Now in 2025, people are wishing a remake or some sort of remastered or a Battlefront 3. It's insane that people are asking for this after years later. And if the tweets themselves, I think that this is going to happen sooner or later. It's going to take a few years and this might drop after GTA 6, but I think it's going to be a good wait. I think, it's going to be a good lifespan of playing these two games. But if you guys made it this far inside of the YouTube video, do you guys think they should remaster Battlefront 2 or even make a Battlefront 3? And let me know if you guys played this game, Battlefront 2, and what is your best moments. Let's start a positive conversation down below. Fixing all of the BS inside of the game when it first launched. But some people would say that we haven't seen a good Star Wars game since, Jedi Fallen Order or the ones after that, which they have not made a multiplayer co-op game with Star Wars since Battlefront 2. And all the Star Wars games after that was just basically single player games.